Hey guys, welcome back to week 3 of Finding God Through Hard Times. Um, I apologize that this video is a little bit later than the other ones, and I will definitely try to get better as the series goes on. But it's been a lot of praying this week on what I should do this video on, and it's been a lot of stress happening this week as well. Um, so I've been praying, for God to help ease my mind and just praying that God will show me what to do. But I keep, getting the feeling that uh, as the week goes on, more stress is getting added, um, and that stress is just a distraction to keep me away from God. So some people have stress, some people have anxiety, some people have worry, but all these things have one thing in common, and it's a weakness that is going to be put inside of us to keep us from pursuing God through this situation. So I think after much praying, God finally just tapped me on the shoulder and was like, "That's your subject is weakness." So I'm gonna dive right in and start off with a couple weeks ago during our prayer meeting with our church. Our pastor had asked us, um, what are a couple verses that are helping you guys out? And everyone had one specific verse. But one of my friends had mentioned Job, the whole book of Job. And interesting enough, my Bible has quick reference points. It's every man's Bible, a Bible for every battle every man faces. So it's the normal Bible, but it definitely has little blurbs in here about weakness, and it has a quick reference point at the very end. It says, "What's the point?" And for Job, the point is when your life explodes, trust is more important than logic. Um, and that just made me laugh hearing that because everyone's life is exploding right now, and like I explained last week, trust trust needs to happen when it's dealing with God. Do you trust God or do you just believe in God? So it kind of ties into last week's video. So take that trust that God will turn our weakness into strength. That's what I have been focusing on this week. That's what I've been praying about, and it's been wonderful to see how God's been uh, working in my life this week to turn my weakness into that strength. This week has been a lot better than the past couple weeks, and that's because I've been putting more of my trust, more of my faith into God, and He's been taking my weakness and turning my weakness into my strength. So I'm just gonna go through some of the verses that I've been going through this week, and maybe they will help you guys out as well, how they have helped me. So we're going to start off with Luke 12, verse 25. Who of you by worrying can add a single hour to your life? And that had hit home for me because, you know, a lot of people who still have work, they get home and they're not used to seeing their wife and kids so early some days. Um, and that's just the way the situation is right now because a lot of our days have been turned, a lot of our normalcy has been turned off from what we do day to day. So a lot of us are trying to figure out what to do with our time, but a day only has 24 hours in it. So this verse right here, like I said, verse 25, who of you by worrying can add a single hour to your life? He continues on in 26 saying, since you can't do this little thing, why worry about the rest? Um, and like I said, this verse has just hit home for me because, you know, a lot of us are worried about the timeline of this coronavirus. But we can't do anything about it. It's gonna run its course. And right now, I know a lot of people are trying to flatten the curve, but it's still gonna run its course, especially if people don't start taking it serious like they should. Um, so why worry about it why worry about this thing since we can't do anything about it? Why worry about it? I mean, you know, we need to continue to look into it to see how it's going to affect us, but we need to trust that God already knows what's going on. God already has a plan for what this is going to take us through. Um which leads me into my second verse, Second Corinthians chapter 12 verse 9. It says, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." And that brings us to the weakness aspect. A lot of us are, like I said, our worlds have been turned upside down, and God's power is perfect in our weakness because it means He can dive into us and work harder in our lives to make us turn to Him more, to make us trust that the path we are going down is the path He wants us to go down. And a lot of us, like I said, we just believe that God is going to do things instead of actually trusting that God is going to take this and turn it into something beautiful, like I said last week. And all the other verses I have picked out just explain it perfectly. And they all have little bullet points on them. The first one says, a form of weakness is to have no shame in admitting your weaknesses to Him. Um, Psalm 31, verses 9 and 10 says, "Have mercy on me, Lord, for I am in distress," which perfectly describes everything that's going on right now, not only in my life, but I'm sure your guys' lives as well. "Tears blur my eyes, my body and soul are withering away. I am dying from grief. My years are shortened by sadness. Sin has drained my strength. I am wasting away from within." And through reading this, God is, it takes me back to that first verse I told you guys. Why worry about it? God is going to take care of us. If we take our weakness and confess to Him what is happening, God will take care of us. He says, "Here on earth you will have many trials and sorrows, but take heart because I have overcome the world." That's John 16:33. Um, and it, you know, he just seeing that He has overcome the world. We all already know this. God is able to make creations that are going to clear everything out so that people see Him more clearly. And that's I think is what is happening right now. um and maybe not enough people have seen Him clearly yet, and that's why this whole situation is continuing longer than it needs to go on. Even when I walk through the darkest valley, even when I walk through coronavirus, I will not be afraid, for you are close beside me. God is always going to be with us as long as we trust that He is with us. Your rod and staff will protect and comfort me. That's Psalm 23:4. The rod and staff are just God's nudging us or pulling us back to Him. I know a lot of us, especially me, when things start going good, I'm like, "Hey, God, I got this." I I got this. I did this myself. I got this. And that's the wrong mindset. And clearly, or 9 times out of 10, when something like that starts to happen and I say, "I got this," things turn around quite quickly and end up going bad until I realize it's not me who has this, it's God that has this. Um so take your weakness and just share it with God. He's going to be there with you. But also take that weakness and flip it around on its head. Attitude in this whole situation is going to make a big difference. The more joyful we are, the more happy we are, the more we seek out God with our joy, with all of our hearts, the more He's going to help us out. A cheerful heart is a good medicine, but a broken spirit saps a person's strength. And everyone knows when you're sick, you tend to, be groggy and whatnot. And when you're groggy, you're sad and you just feel weak. And I know people with depression, and sometimes I go through phases where I just wake up and I'm like, I, I just want to stay in bed, you know. And it's all about attitude. And I have some people come up to me, you need to watch what you do, and it's hard to hear, but the truth hurts sometimes. But the truth um is God's rod just hitting me or nudging me, letting me know, hey, it is in the attitude. Come back to me. Come back to me with joy. Come back to me with all your heart, with all your strength. Um, yeah. God also says about weakness, dear brothers and sisters, when troubles of any kind come your way, consider it an opportunity for great joy. Once again, great joy. Change your attitude from sorrow to joy. Change your weakness of stress to God's got this. I'm going to be okay in this situation. For you know that when you have faith, that when your faith is tested, your endurance has a chance to grow. Let it grow, so let it grow. For when your endurance is fully developed, you will be perfect and complete, needing nothing. Um, and I think I mentioned that last week, guys. That's James chapter 1, verses 2 through 4. We need to take our endurance and let it grow through these hard times. We have the time to let it grow. We have the time to focus on God. We have the time to continue to pray to God, continue to trust to God. Um, so I would definitely encourage you guys to make your endurance with God stronger than it has ever been before. Um, and I talked about this with my friend last night, who I reconnected with from high school. In high school, I did not go to church. I did not go to church until I came up to Gunnison to go to college. And I didn't get baptized until 2014, which was just 6 years ago. But in that 6 years, I've seen so much growth within me, within my family, just by putting more of my trust and faith into God and taking that leap into the water to help me grow. And in essence, that baptism is someone planted the seed in me, and that was God watering the seed in order to grow into God's roots, into that vertical connection with God. Because everything starts out with that horizontal connection until people take that leap to fully trust God to create that vertical connection to complete the cross. And that's the most beautiful image out there. Is you need that vertical to God, the Spirit, the Son, the Holy Ghost, in order to have that horizontal. And just take that endurance and make that vertical bigger so that you can conquer more situations. There's going to be situations where you need to cross deep deep bridges that are going to be broken, and it all depends on how much faith you have in God in your weak times. If you take that weakness and turn it into strength, your vertical is going to become so much stronger and so much bigger, and to the point where you're so close to God that during those harder situations when you have to cross big ravines, you can lay that cross down and you can just walk across that situation like nothing, because you have God on your side. And that's the most important thing through all of this, is having God on your side through the weakness. Um and I'm just going to finish off with this, guys, is none of us can do this alone. Um we I continue to talk to my friends across the street who go to the same church as me. I continue to reach out to my friends, to my family, just to keep checking in on them. Not not everyone is going to be able to do this alone, um, no matter how much they think they can. So definitely pour more into God, guys. Create more of that vertical, and you're going to see yourself grow so much stronger, physically, mentally, in God, that you're going to be able to conquer any situation and just smile and laugh everything off. Um, God has used so many people that were weak, and they turned out to be, super strong. He used drunks. He used people who were just flat out lazy. He used liars. He used cheaters. Those are all weaknesses within our human spirit, but we can overcome that, and God will use us to the best advantage that He can. And my prayer is that after all of this is over, that we are so filled with joy, so filled with God, and have so much endurance that we're going to go out there, go back to our churches, go back to our homes, see our extended family, and just want to pour out to each other, want to volunteer, want to help out any way that we can to ensure that, our church can be as strong as it can be, and that we can take on the people that have found God through this situation. Um, and it just takes one phone call to someone to make them realize that God is there with them. Um, or it may even be drop a meal off at someone's house, guys. He's got this. I trust that he has this. My family trusts that he has this, and we're not worried about it. We're getting stir crazy at home, but we're not worried about what's going to happen. I challenge you guys to have that same faith within all of this, and have a wonderful week. God bless.